record, and there we are, man. Oh, and then most importantly, gallery view. There we go. All right. What's up?
What's going on, man?
What's going on? Oh, let me close the door so I don't bother my girlfriend with our nonsense. Okay.
Did you switch rooms, or is it just
I reoriented the room.
Gotcha.
So my back was facing the door.
Yep.
And now I'm facing the door. So I'm I'm a literal mirror image of what I was before. Oh, no, not entirely. I'm a perpendicular mirror image. There you go. So do that flip a couple of times. But yeah, I switched, and now the Peloton is to my left instead of behind me. And it feels way nicer. The feng shui of this place is really nice, and I'm really excited for my treadmill that's going to come under here. I'm pretty excited about it.
Oh, did you get one of the walking?
Dude, I'm so excited. You have no idea. I'm just like, I'm reading Reddit and all these people that do it while programming, and I'm like, oh man, I'm going to combine physical activity with being in the flow state. Oh my gosh, get out of here. Get out of here. I did a goblet squat with my like 53-pound kettlebell, and I'm like, this feels way too heavy. This is horrible. I was like, oh man, like what? Like 10 of these? And I'm like, Anyway, yeah, I miss back squatting and deadlifting and all that. Because I've literally contemplated just putting a barbell on my fucking balcony and and buying some cheap ass weights. But I don't need these glasses. Yeah, man. So, dude, we're going to start with a brain teaser because I think it's really fun. My dad said this to me, and we're going to pair program through it.
Okay.
I don't know all the answers. So now it's just a test to see how smart you are. So let's do it. Let's go. Where's my dad? Gmail. This is the problem with keeping everything at like inbox 0.
Yep. Then you don't. Yeah. I know that very well.
I've got but I love it, dude. I love having nothing in my inbox. All right, here we go. And sharing the screen now. And we'll share desktop. There you go. This is it.
I think I've seen this before, but I haven't actually tried to solve it.
All right, well, let's try and solve it. Let's go line by line because I want to see how much easier it is when there's someone kind of like with you. Okay, so just the first line.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious answer is 7.
But yeah, why do you say 7?
There's 3 of them, and 7 times 3 is 21.
Yeah, if you supplant these as x and these are just 3x, you divide that, then you get 7. But these are not x. So what's the and why would they not be x?
I'm guessing they are a stand-in for something else.
Well, what is if? So I'll give you a hint here. So x is. Like if I write X, whiteboard, online, beautiful. I don't want to sign in. I just want to whiteboard. I don't want Miro. There we go. I want this one. Yeah, start drawing. Okay. So if I say X, right, and I have 3 of these X's, right? Those all look what? I'll actually just draw.
They all look the same.
Exactly. So what's going on here?
They don't all look the same. That's very funny. The hour hand is different on all of them. So what is that? 10, 10, and 3? Or 9, rather.
Yep.
9, 9, and 3. So yeah, 18, 21. There we go. This guy, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 3, 6, 10. So it's just adding the integers within the calculator, 3, 6, 10 to get 30.
Yep.
That is number of lines above the light bulb to get 15. So this is 9, 3, 5, 9, 18 times 15. Oh, Jesus Christ.
You know, you can just bring a calculator out. Close. So you got the first row right, you got the second row right, and you have the third row. You went too fast on the third row. What's the arithmetic in the third row?
Oh, it's minus. Oh. Interesting. Then each light bulb is probably worth 15. Right? Because if we're going to have 50, one thing plus the next thing minus the same thing again. So what the only remainder is 15.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. That light bulb is worth 15. Each one of those light bulbs is worth 15. That is correct.
So then it's 9 plus 9, 18 times. Now the question is, are these wrapped in parentheses or not?
Well, you don't need to. Well, just PEMDAS. You don't need parentheses when you've got PEMDAS. But you're missing one more thing, and this is what I missed as well. So you kind of had it. It's a combination of the two things that you were thinking of for the third row. So you are right that each bulb is worth 15, but it's relative to the number of lines, the like rays above the light bulb, like you originally said.
Oh,
right. Because look at the exact. Well, look at the So it's 12 times what?
3.
Exactly.
Well, 12 times 3 times 9, or whatever, times 18.
Because you have this is each light bulb is worth how much? Let me rephrase it that way.
12.
Yep, exactly. Yep, exactly. So
how my brain has been teased.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a nice little fun one.
Yeah,
and that's I think the difference between like a got you whiteboarding and like programming thing and like someone actually working with you.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like but yeah, you try, like this was the one that got me because I was like, oh, it's just this is x and 2x minus x is x is 15, and I was technically right. But x is, there was another variable there that I was not looking at. All right,
thanks for sharing that. That's pretty fun.
I thought that was fun. My dad said that to me and I was like, I've never done that before. But like, how was your week?
Yeah. As far as the routine for the week, it is the same as it has been. So we will go into that. So I journal, start the day with that. And journal looks very much the same.
Is this like in bed?
Yep. Yeah, I have it right on my
nightstand. You like wake up and then just like pull it off your nightstand?
Yeah, usually.
You use pencil or you use pen?
Pen.
Heathen.
I know, savage. I do my resentment inventory in pencil. I don't know why I do my journal in pen.
The resentment inventory in pencil makes a lot of sense because there's going to be like lots of editing.
Yep.
I mean, that's why I use pencil for my like day-to-day stuff. Like that's like I edit stuff all the time. But anyway, continue.
Yeah. Start the journal with a story that works pretty well for me. Pretty much the same one is center right now. So it's usually My Body's a Gift is the one that I start the day with. And then
why is your body a gift?
You can do so much cool shit with it.
Like what?
I mean, just like you were talking about at the beginning, you can pick up some heavy shit with it. It feels really good.
Yeah.
You can murder cuddle people with it. And you just, everything we get to do in this life, you experience through the lens of this little meat suit that we have. Well, it's, no, that's not quite accurate. The meat suit is like a filter for all the experiences that we have. And then, because everything must pass through that.
Well, is your brain a part of your body?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah, and then
yes. So ultimately, it's
and then yeah. So does your mind? Where does your mind come from, or where do we think it comes from?
Yeah, I would argue probably the brain, but
Probably the electrical impulses in the brain. So is there a mind without a body? Who knows? My guess is no. So yeah, it's a requirement for the experiences that we have here.
Yep.
Reasonable people can disagree. I'm not here to argue on a soul or like living eternally or not, like heaven or whatever. I don't really give a shit. What I care about is what my experience is right here and now.
Yep.
And without my mind or my brain or my body, I kind of can't have one.
Yep.
So continue.
Yeah. So I start with that, and then I write down some appreciations.
Yeah. What's a cool one that stuck out this week? Or what's a mundane one? Like they don't need to even be cool. Fuck that. We don't even need to be. What's a mundane one?
Yeah. One of my favorite things in the world is I sleep with my door closed now because I have like just an air conditioning unit for my bedroom. And then one of the best things ever is when I open the door and Hattie actually comes into the bedroom with me and plops into bed and just hangs out while I journal. And it's like, I would say a 1 in 12 shot that that's actually going to happen. But when it does, it's pretty awesome.
Pretty great, man. Yeah, when the Xiao Xiao is the name of my I should say my girlfriend's mini poodle. When she decides to hang out with me, because she'll always hang out with mom, but mom gone, so there's two options, or three. One is she's crying and waiting for mom to get home. Two, waiting on the couch, not crying for mom to come home. And three is like, I'll hang out with dad. And so that's three is like the last, and it's in that order also. If it's three, it's so nice. It's so great.
Good feeling. It's really
I feel like I've accomplished something. I feel like Cinderella. I don't think that's mundane at all. Actually, I think that's like that's pretty great.
Yeah, mundane. Yeah.
What's a boring appreciation?
At the end of the day, there's not really such a thing.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Trick question. Trick question. See, that was an unintentional, intentional trick question. Are no accidents. Yeah, it's right. Like I was gonna say, for me, it was like the balcony, right? For me, like walking out, and then in the combination with that of like the cold morning air. So I just go out and I'm like that. My spirit animal is like a 75-year-old naked man. And I go outside, I've got on my balcony, I've got my shirt off, and I'm just in the morning air and I'm sipping my hot coffee. And it's like, this is fantastic. I love it. And then the Your Mom's House podcast, which is.
I have not listened to that.
Oh my God, dude, just fucking do it already. It's so great. It's so great. It's just, there's no information. There's no like learning things. There's no injecting shit into my brain. It's just funny. It's just fun and light and hysterical. And it is chicken soup for my soul is what it is. It feeds it, and it's ridiculous and it's gross and it's silly and it's fantastic. And then the community is also there. We're just great, and we're just practical jokers, and you'll get it if you ever start watching.
Okay.
But you like Joe Rogan.
I do.
Tom Segura, very close friend of Joe Rogan.
Okay. Is that who does it?
It's Tom Segura and Christina Pajinski, who's his wife, who's also been on Rogan. And then they're all friends with Bert as well. So Bert comes on the show. They actually have another podcast called Two Bears, One Cave, which is Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura. That's also pretty great. Also produced by Your Mom's House Studios. And that's kind of my methadone until I can get to next Wednesday when your mom's house arrives. So, and there's so much user submitted content and it's all the inside jokes from the show, and it, like, I don't know, I just love it. It's so much fun.
Right.
Anyway, give it a shot. If not, take for example, how is Better Call Saul, my friend?
Oh, dude, that show is fucking good. So good. I don't know what I missed the first time I tried it. Like, I did try to watch it pretty soon after it came out, and it just didn't click. But
doesn't click. It doesn't click. I think it's as good, or if not better, as Breaking Bad.
I would argue the same.
It's like kind of the same vibe, but kind of not at the same time. It's a similar kind of story, right? It's this guy, and it's like his descent into evil.
Yeah.
Right. And just like Walter White, and it's so good. And it's a different kind of evil, right? Better Call Saul is like, if he had a sin, it wouldn't be the same sins as Walter White and Heisenberg, right? He's a different kind of sinner, I guess, to use, for lack of a better word. I'm gonna sneeze. Hold on. I'm gonna mute. Woo. Okay. All right. And how you feeling?
Rolling average is still very high.
That was not my question. How are you feeling? Well, it's actually a good point, because if I've got enough built up momentum, it kind of makes it easy to kind of roll with the punches, and when stuff comes up, it's like, yeah, I can feel it, but I can kind of feel if it's on the downward kind of trend, which is also fine. There's no reason to freak out. Yeah. This is like emotions ebb and flow, and I'm not here to be on a fucking high flying dopamine rush my whole life. Like, that's not what we're talking about. Yeah. We want sustainable contentment, and sustainable contentment isn't like, yeah, exactly. It's not that all the time. That's called drugs. And drugs are awesome until they're not. They're unsustainable. They feel really, really, they're very good at doing what they're supposed to do, which is making someone feel really good in that moment. And then the side effects are, oh, okay, well, that was an unnatural boost in my feeling goodness, and then I pay the piper, either the next day or years from now, depending on what you do. I don't know if you've ever done a drug like cocaine before, but it's like amazing. And then the next day is like, I want to kill everything is hard. Food has no taste.
Yeah.
Food has no taste, and I want to kill myself.
That's been my experience with anything bordering.
Not that I would know. I would have no idea. That's what I've been told.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I would not know from my own experience. I've never done a drug. I don't even know what drugs are. Change of topic. How did we get into that anyway? Oh yeah, roller coasters and stuff like that. And emotions and ebbs and flows and all that good stuff, and sustainable contentedness and well-being. And then not resisting it, right? So it's like, if I'm like, okay, yeah, so I'm feeling this way, it's not a big deal. Yeah, I was talking to Shelby, and I was feeling like, these days are kind of melding together, yada, yada, yada. And then kind of went into a fixing mode for a second. I was like, you know what, Shelby, like, we don't need to go and like fix this. There's nothing to fix, right? It's like, this is a natural reaction of my body and my mind going, it's like, you're kind of doing the same thing every single day, all day long. Like, maybe it's time to like switch it up. I'm like, yeah, maybe it is. Or maybe it's not. I don't need to go into going and like, oh, okay, and going and fixing the thing and investigating what I've got to go do. All right, if I fucking arrange these items just perfectly, then I'll feel that. No. That's a whole other beast of scariness and sadness. But anyway, how are you feeling? And you were like, the rolling day is good. Yeah. But what that tells me is what?
Yeah. It's a very convenient skirting of answering the question directly, which is
yeah.
It's very similar to what you were describing. It's like, I do the exact same shit every single day, and I love that. For the record, I love that shit. It's enjoyable. It feels good. But it starts, for me, the natural tendency goes towards like, well, how can I spice this up or fix this or make it more exciting or something like that? what goal for me specifically, it's like, what goal can I go achieve, or what, like, how can I go exercise differently? How can I eat food differently? Like, those are the two that always come up for me about fixing things. And I can sit with that, and that's fine. And
Oh,
then
so you're cured of your food stuff. There's no more improvement to be had.
yeah, it's over. You're done. No, and I don't want to understate how dramatically the relationship has shifted with it, because it's been tremendous. But yeah, it's never done,
No.
and that's okay. But
And I don't have to go in, like, at least a bunch of my suffering revolved around trying to going and fixing like how I was feeling. And that's a bit of a conundrum. Like, well, isn't that the purpose of this entire thing that we're doing? I'm feeling one way and I want to feel another way. And I would say yes, and I would also say no. So the paradox is like, well, what the fuck are you talking about? I thought we were here to like kind of change our emotions. And the answer is yes, and the answer is no to that. And what I mean by that specifically is so much of the damage I had done in my life is because I wasn't okay with how I was currently feeling. And then I would go and try, while I was feeling that way, go and try and manage and fix how I was feeling. So we were talking about drugs earlier. They're really good at fixing that, and that causes a whole bunch of wreckage. Or I would feel uncomfortable in the moment. I would like lie about whatever the scenario was, right? And that kind of circumvented having to feel that awkward thing and say the thing that I didn't want to say at the expense of becoming untrustworthy and lying in the future. So I would be making these decisions, which in the long term and in the aggregate actually worked against me, because I was trying to fix or solve how I was feeling at the time being. Now, what I learned over time, and of course I'm not perfect at this by any means, because I definitely still lie and I definitely make decisions that maybe will be harming me more in the future than they are today, like ordering Taco Bell the other day, maybe, I don't know. It was great though. I haven't had a Doritos Locos taco in like,
you got to get it in while you can.
You got to get it in while you can.
Right? Did you hear about that?
But I am much, much more comfortable with being uncomfortable. Now, I don't go seeking out, well, that's not entirely true. I guess exercise could be going and seeking out uncomfortable situations. And I believe like seeking out suffering can be really healthy and really good. Like a meditation retreat is a great example. It's like I wouldn't classify those as fun, right? It's definitely an experience, but becoming okay with not feeling okay is almost like the first phase into feeling better and not having to go rearrange and fix my life. And so the irony there is the act of becoming comfortable with my own suffering reduces my suffering. Like, oh, it's kind of weird. And I can actually, and I can go after it with the intention of wanting to, and knowing that it'll make me feel better. And that's totally fine. And paradoxically, that is a strategy to reduce suffering. And it works really well. So like we've said a million times before, changing the relationship to one's suffering is what we're all about here. So it's not just seeking out and finding things that feel good. And by feel good, I mean like long-term contentedness, well-being. That's what I'm talking about. Not kind of that shot in the arm heroin kind of feeling, not that, but long-term sustainable contentedness, feeling goodness. Now I'm off track. Totally forgot what I was going to say. That's gone.
Yeah. I mean, it's nail on the head for where I'm at, for sure. It's like there's almost a discomfort that comes with being okay with being uncomfortable. I know that's like an oxymoron, but like there's some part of my brain still that's like that is not okay with the fact that I'm okay with not being okay. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I mean, to me, what that sounds like, and correct me if this is not where I'm headed, is like stop settling, was what it sounds like for in your case. It's like it's the lack of or the removal of ambition in your life.
Yeah, I would say that's probably accurate.
Right? Where you're content, so you're not going to try. And I disagree with that wholeheartedly, at least in my experience. And what it does is it doesn't remove the trying. Like the becoming content does not remove the like, oh, I want to go do this thing. What it removes is the, oh, I want to go do this thing for insert reason that will suck a lot in the future and provide no real reward to me. It might feel good, much like that snort or that shot of heroin, but then after that's gone, then it's gone. So those achievements, those accomplishments, all of that stuff feels really, really good. And then what? Well, I got to go get more accomplishments. I got to prop myself up. I got to prop this self-worth up with something. And these trophies are making a really, really unstable foundation. They're fucking wobbling all over the place. It's crazy. Crazy. Yeah. That's where like based on my experience and my working with you, that's what it sounds like to me.
No, you're spot on.
100%.
You're spot on. Yeah, I think like the thing that I messaged you about earlier in the week with my dad has brought up quite a lot. And
for those who don't know what our internal text messages are like, what was this?
Yeah. Yeah, my dad and I got lunch with my grandma, and what I sent you is true, and it is the takeaway message, but I was being hyper judgmental towards my dad during that lunch. And
about what? What was he doing?
Yeah, it's not what he was doing, it's what he wants to do and is going to do. So he was talking about like this diet he's going to go on, get super peeled, be like shredded 54-year-old, which by all means, like get after it, man. And then the next thing was like his own, he wants to start his own podcast around fitness.
That's awesome. That's rad. That's really cool. Did you doing this inspire him to do that?
I think it probably did, but that's not the way that I took it. I became fuck you and the horse you rode in on about all of it. And
to be specific, so what exactly did you say?
Yeah, well, he was talking about the diet thing, and
what diet is it?
It's basically going to be a bodybuilding diet. The one he was talking about using was like the Wolverine diet, the thing Hugh Jackman used for that role. Very similar. Yeah, I started spouting off all sorts of shit about it, like no such thing as a sustainable diet. X percentage of people gain everything they lose back in a year, 2 years, 3 years, like basically just shitting on his parade in every way that I could. And then with the podcast thing, I just didn't really say anything. I was just kind of, okay. I'm super grateful that I have a dad who a couple hours later called me and was like, hey, are you open for some feedback? And I'm like, sure, man, shoot.
That's awesome that he asked you. That's really important that he asked you if you were open to feedback. That's actually a vital step in giving feedback.
No, it did. And something I was really proud of for myself with it too was there was a threshold where it was no longer feedback. It was very confrontational. And I was like, hey, man, I love that you called. I love that you asked if I wanted some feedback. I'm more than open to it, but I'm not okay with it if this is where the conversation is going to go. So if we can like steer it back towards civil discourse around feedback, I'll listen all day long. So I really appreciated that I was able to set my own boundary with it. And more so, I appreciated that he was willing to call me out on some shit.
Which was what?
Yeah, being judgmental, being shitty, not being excited for this thing that he wanted to do. And
Yeah, and where was that coming from?
yeah, that's a great question. Specifically with the food and diet stuff, it's like there's an air of it that's like, I want to prevent other people from suffering the way that I did with that.
And what's wrong with that?
Yeah, I can't fix. I don't know if that's what their experience is going to be. They might be fucking fine. They might actually have a great time with it. I don't know. B, it's not my job to save anybody. And C, saving them, even if I could, is robbing them of the opportunity to learn on their own.
Well, you got it a little bit. You're close. You're very, very close. You can't save anyone you can't save anyone. And you can't help anyone that doesn't want your help.
Yep.
That's impossible. Literally impossible. Can't do it. I cannot force anyone to go get better. I can't do it. And then the saving is going to be done by them. Like the saving is like, now can I help and influence and provide resources? Absolutely. Right. But at the end of the day, they're the ones doing it. They're the one asking for them. They're the ones getting them. Everyone's taking them, yada, yada, yada. Okay. And where was this? So there's the savior thing.
Yep.
Okay.
There's the, I don't want him to be able to do this because then it's proof that I gave up, that I'm the person who couldn't stick with the diet and everything like that. And I actually see that in myself with a lot of people. Like,
stick with which diet? Which one?
Anything. I couldn't stick with for me, I couldn't stick with living out the life of a bodybuilder. And
so if your dad gets ripped, you couldn't stick with the life of a bodybuilder, which are two orthogonal things, completely different things.
Totally.
Your dad is this filthy fucking dieting casual, even if he does get ripped. Well, you're a fucking bodybuilding pro. Two totally different things.
Absolutely.
But yeah, these don't have to make sense logically. They're emotions. So.
No. And then I didn't realize until he had said something just how much time I had spent judging him rather than being excited for him in all areas of my life. Not all areas, but in a lot of interactions that he and I have had. And that's not how I want to be with him.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to your dad. Sounds like a really mature response. Kudos to you for receiving it, being in a place where you could receive it. And then when it was kind of getting to a place that you were not okay with, like in the moment, steering it back on course. And what sounded was both like productive for both of you.
Yeah, I think it was.
And man, when I find someone doing something that I disagree with, it's like, and it has no impact on me whatsoever, fucking do it. Go do it. Go do more of it. Someone does like, oh, I want to think of the example. I don't have one. Oh, I do have one and I can't think of it. I don't remember. Whatever. Doesn't matter. But it's like, go get after it, man. It's like there's no learning like experience. There's nothing like it. And like, even if I could prevent someone from going down that rabbit, why would I do that? It's so valuable.
I need to be right, man.
Yeah.
I need them to be in my cult and think the way that I think.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man, it's really freeing to just let people make their own fucking decisions. It's like, I don't want to be like, it's really funny. It's like when people are like, oh, do you have any interest in becoming a manager or management? And like, blah, blah. I'm like, no fucking way. Absolutely not. And with the least amount of fucking responsibility for these other human beings as possible. I have no desire to be in other people's lives in that way, in that manner professionally whatsoever. Even the work that you and I do It's not like, Jordan, all right, here's what you must do.
Yeah, never once have you told me anything about, like, you've made suggestions about what I could try.
Well, well, I do say this. If we want to work together, this is what it looks like, and these are the boundaries. Absolutely. And then there will be work involved. And in order to work together, you've got to do this work. Does that sound good? Cool. That's the extent of it. And then it's like, Jordan comes to me with, insert life thing here. It's like, oh, what do I do in this scenario? I'm like, what do you want to do in this scenario? Given all the stuff that we've talked about, what do you think? And that's so much, and we've talked about this before, I think, but that's so much more valuable. I don't want you to just do what I tell you to do. That is just the cliche and the parable. That's just fishing for you, and then just giving you fish. It's much more effective to have you think Socratically, get to an answer, and then try it out for yourself, and then learn how to fish for yourself, and then learn how to make the goddamn fishing pole. It's like, and then learn like, oh, fishing is kind of slow. Maybe I want like to do these giant like deep sea net fishing and to get a ton of fish. Yeah, man, now we're out. Now we're doing it. And then I have all this extra fish. I can just give this fish away. Yes, we're getting it. There we go. And I can teach other people how to do this. Boom. Yeah, exactly. And that's the deal. I have no interest in just like telling people how to do things. That's totally boring and unsustainable. And that's why I like my model, because I don't make money off of this thing, so I don't need you to need me. I don't need you to keep coming back to give me some subscription every single month. It's like, I don't need that. So I'm like, here's what I have done. Here are some tools. Try them out for yourself. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't work, that's totally fine too. No, no bad blood here. Right? There was no financial exchange whatsoever. So there's no butthurtness. You didn't spend your money on my stuff, and I didn't ask for any. I don't want it. And so I love this relationship. It's so much easier. I don't think I could ever do this for money. I don't ever think I could be like a coach or something like that for money. I don't think I could do it. There's nothing wrong with it. If you are a coach, I have no problem with you doing that. Just for me, the incentives are completely misaligned. I benefit from someone needing me more consistently and over and over and over again, coming back. I don't benefit from like helping someone like get cured. I just don't. So not to say that people are intentionally evil or bad when they're doing these things. Like, oh, I want to get these people hooked. It's just, it's really, really, what's the phrase? It's really tough to get a guy to believe something that his paycheck depends on him not believing, or something like that, right? It's very, very, very difficult. So I just don't even introduce it. There's way other ways to make money. All right, dude, we got time. So let's get into it. Let's get a resentment going.
I actually want to bring that up. So that's something else we talked about, my dad and I talked about, that I think makes a lot of sense. When these are done about other people in this like public forum, it's not all that different than just like talking about those people behind their back, but then showing it to everyone.
Yeah, then we can take if with any resentment that you don't want to do, we can just not do it like live. That's totally fine with me.
Yep. So that was going to be my ask.
That's always been the case since this whole thing started. If there's ever resentment that you're like, nah, I don't want to talk about that one on like that, absolutely is totally fine.
Yep.
These are just meant to be examples of the process of going through, of identifying thoughts that don't really work out so well. And in order for them to be super effective, I've got to be able to be honest. And anything that's kind of hampering that being honest, namely like, oh, this is out for literally anyone to see, we do not want to do.
Yeah, for me, I'm completely okay with any that are about me and my stuff, but I think I'm at a point where other people are involved.
It's awesome. I love it. That's great insight, and I think super valuable. So, and these are just meant to be demonstrative. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Demonstrative. I was going to say demonstrative.
I heard it pronounced that way before, but it bothers me. So don't do that. I don't know why it bothers me, but it does.
So yeah, any resentment that you want to do offline is totally fine. It's not like, yeah, that's not what this is about. It's not about let's get all of Jordan's like dirty laundry out into the universe. Like the reason that it's important to share it with someone, right? It doesn't like, again, it doesn't have to be all of YouTube. The reason it's important to share it with someone is there is I don't know what the phenomenon is or how it works, but there is something that happens when something that has been like really private or really shameful or really personal, that I was like, no one's going to know about this. And then having someone that you trust hear that thing and then be like, you're still a person and I still care about you and you're fine. There's like a certain freedom to that is really, really powerful, but that's not for everybody. So let us stop here. Thanks everybody for listening so far, and we'll go and take this offline.
Yes, sir.
All right, man.